In this episode, we're going to talk about how you can create leads every single day. Don't believe it? I think you can. I'm going to tell you about it in this podcast. We're going to call this Everyday Leads. Welcome to the podcast. Hey everybody, Bill Caskey here. Before we start getting further, you can go to 12boldmoves.com, download this thing. It's complimentary. It's on us. It's the ebook version, 12boldmoves.com. I'm not even going to tell you about it. It's a great book. I had a lot of people say this has kind of changed their approach to sales, and so glad to do it for you. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about this concept of everyday leads. And you know, the biggest problem in business today that I see is not generating enough new opportunities. Now, your business may be different. You may have plenty, but most businesses are in this constant tension place of not enough or too many, but most of the time it's just not enough. And then it gets back to, what do we do about that? Well, we throw labor at it. I just had a conversation last week with an accounting firm, a large accounting firm in the Midwest. And their people sell a very specific niche. It's not even accounting, but it's owned by, it's part of this accounting company's mix. And it's a very specific consulting practice within. But their people are consultants. They're not salespeople. And so the team leader calls me and says, hey, I'm trying to get these people to go out and make calls and generate opportunities and shake the bushes, as we used to say. Can we still say that? I think we can still say that. But they don't do it. Why don't they do it? Because they're not built for that. Most people are not built to make cold calls, to call somebody who's not waiting for them to call, and through the magic of conversation, bring them to a place where they want to book a meeting. Can it be done? Of course. I've done it. We've all done it. But a steady diet of it, 6 hours a day of it, 5 days a week of it, 28 days a month of it, you kidding me? You're going to burn out. And the problem is that we tend to throw labor at leads. We should be throwing leverage at leads, not labor at leads. Copy of a new book, title, I mean. So I want you to throw leverage to generate leads, not labor. And yet, most of you live in the industrial age where we just keep throwing labor at things. And we've got to get past that and get in the digital age. So I'm going to talk about it today from the standpoint of everyday leads. I just introduced this concept to one of my high achiever groups, and they loved it. Several of them have already started just in the past few days to start to kind of build a framework for this. But I want to share this with you. I want to start with what you need before this occurs. Because it's easy to say, well, build a web page and put up a video and capture email addresses and all is going to be good. Well, of course not. There's more to it than that. Because you don't have the other stuff right, it's not going to work at all. So as with anything, I think there's people out there telling you how to do things, and they're not giving you the whole story, and that's what I aim to do. It may be that the whole story is not inviting to you. You may say, not worth it, Bill. Not worth, let's say this whole thing takes 8 hours to set up, not worth it to spend 8 hours to get leads for a lifetime. I know I'm not trying to be, foolish with my metaphors or my analogies there, but sometimes people just don't want to work. And the kind of work it takes is roll up your sleeves thinking work. And we'd rather go do than think. Some of you would rather go think than do. I think it takes both. So let's talk about the thinking behind this idea of everyday leads. Number one, here's about 5 or 6 things here you need to do. And then we're going to divide this episode into this program into 2 episodes. We'll do the next one, what is the technical you need. But let's just talk first about what you've got to do to embark on this everyday leads. Number one, you've got to have your proper position. You have to be able to identify what's the position that you own in the marketplace, or what's the position you want to own. Are you the low-cost provider? Are you the high-ticket, high-value provider? What's the story? Can you capture in a sentence or two your position? Can you capture in a sentence or two your position? So, for example, we're doing a program called the 2X Workshop, which I will be inviting you to. It's not quite ready yet. probably going to be next week. So probably on next week's episode, I will have an invite with the webpage. But the question is, well, what's the offer there? It's 2X Workshop. It's $47. That's our tentative price, how we're pricing it. I don't want to do free because people don't attend if it's free. If it's $47, at least you'll be there. Chances are you'll be there. There's a rule in training that says if you don't pay, you don't pay attention. And so if you're not going to invest $47 in this 90-minute masterclass workshop on how to 2X your business, then you're probably never going to be a client of mine. That's fine, but I'm not looking for freebies. I'm looking for people who are willing to slice a little check up front. So, but you got to have your position right. So my position for this is it's a 90-minute experience to help you 2X your skills and 2X your revenue. So it's a 90-minute experience to help you 2X your skills and 2X your revenue. You don't have to believe that. I'm sure you don't. You're thinking, I'm not going to get that in 90 minutes. Well, maybe you will. You don't know. You don't know unless you attend, but that's my positioning behind it. What is your positioning around your core value, around your offer, your primary offer? What does it help people do that they can't do without it? What does it help people do or have or be that they can't do, have, or be without it? In other words, what's the problem that exists in the absence of your offer and solution? If you can't articulate that, you're not going to have a good position. You're just not. And if you don't have a good positioning statement and a good position in the marketplace, when you get ready to communicate your value, it's not going to be there. Number two, this kind of goes along with this. You got to have a list of the problems you solve at the external level. So in my world, let's just take this 2X workshop. We're going to be solving several external problems. Number one, not generating enough leads. That's an external problem. Now, it might be caused by internal issues, but it's an external problem. Not converting a high percentage of those leads to customers. Not positioning yourself properly up front so that when you get to the lead or get to the conversation, they see you as this when really you're this. So those are some external problems that almost every salesperson faces. What are some, and then point number three is, what are the internal problems there? What internal problems do you solve? Well, for example, I solve the internal problem of lack of confidence, lack of clarity, lack of motivation, lack of belief in self. Those are all internal issues. And if you have internal issues, as we all do, I've got more than my share. I've got enough for you and me and a lot of people. But if we're not willing to come to terms with those things, how are we ever going to tap into the real motivation the customer has? So we've got to understand that motivation doesn't just take place on the surface and the external level, it also takes place internally. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start to identify the external problems your prospect has and that you can solve, and the internal problems. And don't be afraid of the internal problems. I was on a call today with my high achievers, as I said, and a couple of them struggled with this, well, what's the internal problem of not enough revenue or the costs are too high? Well, there's always an internal problem. There's always a problem that someone in the buyer office or the buyer field, the field they're in the company, that's internal, that has to do with fear, anxiety, feeling inconsequential, feeling less than, bewildered, frustrated, working too hard. I mean, burning the candle at both ends, and my family is suffering and I'm burned out. Whatever those things are, I want you to list them. And don't be afraid to talk about those, because those, to be honest with you, are the things that nobody talks about. If you're talking about those things, like in my world of working with sales professionals, one of my internal issues that I address is you look around and you see other people succeeding at levels higher than you, and you've been taught not to compare. You've been taught to contrast, not compare. You don't want to compare yourself. That's evil. That's satanic. Okay, but you can't help it. You look around and say, that lady's not quite as valuable as I am, or maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But this is your impression, and so there's this constant comparison in the marketplace. And it's easy to say don't compare, but we do it. And so when you do that, I can help you understand why that may be happening and how you can get your mind right. So A, you don't compare, and B, you bump up your effectiveness and income. So they're comparing themselves to you. I'm not playing the comparison game. I'm just saying that that's an internal issue that we deal with and that we work with. And if I don't call that out, I'm not really helping people. So a lot of times the internal issues that you call out will polarize people. It'll cause them to run for the hills. Oh no, you're not getting me in that webinar. That's too close to the truth. That's a dark corner of my mind. You're not getting there with me. Okay. But the fact is that internal issues exist. If you can talk about them, that's a good thing. Number 4 thing you need to have set before you do everyday leads, and that is you have to be clear about the transformation. What's in it for the prospect? What's the payoff? What's the result? Yes, it's the solving of internal and external issues, but what is it really about? How do you portray that? How do you speak about that? That's really important. And that gets back a little bit to the position you want to own, but what does that look like? Literally, can you describe when someone comes to work with you and they do everything you ask and they pay you on time and they love working with you and they get a lot of value, what does their life look like after that? Does it look like more confidence? Does it look like more clarity? Does it look like more money? Does it look like more hope for the future, higher potential? What is the transformation that you're promising? And if you can give voice to that, write it down, write it on a piece of paper. Each one of these elements should be on a table somewhere where you have the question on the left column and the answer on the right column, if you're serious about this. All right, next one. Number 5, you must have some kind of a masterclass or workshop that you can put people into, not automatically. I don't want it to be evergreen and automated. I want you to be doing it live. But here's, for example, one of my clients is in the leadership coaching business. And they run a workshop twice a month. It's a live workshop, but they do it. They've done it for 2 years, twice a month, 2 years. It's $1 million enterprise. And guess where all their clients come from? Comes from the workshop. My client gets a call from, this is a call. My client, actually it's more like this. My client gets a call from a potential customer. Maybe it's a referral. Maybe they've seen him speak. Maybe they've listened to him on podcasts. And they say, hey, doctor, I'd like to work with you. And my client says, great, you got to come to the workshop first. It's the only way he'll talk to them is if they come to the workshop, because his workshop is a masterful presentation and problems, solutions, clarity, confidence. It's a master. He's a master at this. Now, it took him several hours, tens of hours to get this, but guess what? He's got the same one. He delivers it every 2 weeks. So all his clients, before they become clients, have to go through this workshop. Now, his workshop is complimentary. I suggested he charge something for it, but he did do it. But anyway, so you've got to have, point number 5 is you've got to have an event that you can put people into. It can't just be a white paper. It can't just be a 3-minute video. It's got to be a significant enough event that someone can come, they can get to know you, you can get to know them. I like intimate events, like 10 to 20. I don't like these webinars or master classes or workshops where there are 500 people on, because you don't really get to know people that way. And if you're in a business where you're selling a 79-cent thing or a $47 thing, you might want hundreds of people on. But if you're selling $10,000 to $100,000 ticket solutions, you don't want a lot of people on. You just want to keep doing it over and over. All right? What's the last one? You've got to have a cadence of how frequently you want to repeat this. In our world, we have what we call the 2X workshop, again, which is coming up. I'll give you an invitation to that. It's going to be every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. And I'm going to run them, so let's just say the first and third week of the month. And then if anybody's interested in moving forward with a more detailed class and working with me, then that begins the next month. So we're never too far away from the actual work. So if we have 40 people who attend 2 workshops during the month, we'll probably end up with 10 people who want to continue and want to go into the details of the bigger program. So think about the cadence of your, and if you don't do that, if you don't do workshops and things like that, if you're a consultant, if you just want to have a book call, that's fine. You don't need to schedule them out that way. But I would suggest you do at least twice a month for 90 days. So that's 6. And then at the end of that time, you look back and say, how long did it take us to execute this? How many leads do we get? How many customers did we get? I think you'll be shocked, pleasantly shocked, at how many clients you get. Next time, we'll talk about lead gen in the technology area. What do you need technically to make everyday leads work? I hope this has been helpful. I published an article on LinkedIn. You can go there and read it, but I've given you a lot more here than even I did in the article. But if you want a written soiree, is it a written soiree? No, a soiree is like a party. It wouldn't be a written party. If you want to write up on it, you can go to my LinkedIn site, and there's it's in article format, so I think you'll like that. All right, I'll tell you about 2X Workshop a little bit later, but hope you got value. If you want to talk to me about your team, schedule a call with Caskey.com. Always happy to chat. There's no pressure. I don't put pressure on anybody. You've got to decide if it's right for you or not. I'll tell you what we do, and you can decide from there. But if not, I want you to attend the workshop. See you next time. Bye.